Welcome back to the channel, it's Andy, and it's a not often uploaded, I guess, update video, and it's about Football Manager. So for those that have been around for a while, you'll know that I predominantly made Football Manager videos up until the start of this year, really, till January. I haven't made a Football Manager video since then. As a matter of fact, December 1st will be the 10th anniversary of my first YouTube video on this channel, which was FM15. And yesterday, Football Manager 2025 got announced, and I was in two minds, or I have been in two minds about, am I going to go back to making content on Football Manager? And the longer it goes on, the more it looks like my answer is going to be no. Because what we've seen so far of FM25, which isn't very much, I don't know how it's going to go. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down what we know so far about FM25. For me, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be going back to Football Manager or if I will be doing stuff for FM25. This is just kind of to just sum up what we know so far and what my thoughts are. I don't have anything scripted. I don't really like scripting videos. This is just me kind of spitballing, I guess. So let me take you back to the 28th of June, 2023. This is the future of Football Manager, which was a update posted by Miles, who is the head of Sports Interactive. And this was before the launch and announcement of FM24. So this is about 15 months ago. And as Miles said, this update was about the future direction of Football Manager. And it's looking at FM beyond FM24, which is something they've never really done before. They've never really teased anything, something beyond the game that they were currently making. It would be like them talking about FM26 now. So Miles went on to say that FM24 would be the last of its kind. The closing chapter of their history, the 20th edition of the Football Manager series, and, as he said, the last of its kind. And that's because FM25, as he said, will be the next chapter for Sports Interactive. And Miles talks a lot about Project Dragonfly, which was a deep dive into the technology that FM uses for its match engine, for its interface, and that was essentially going to get a massive overhaul. And it's something they've been working on for a number of years now, but something that has been kind of slowed down due to the COVID pandemic and various other factors as well. So FM25 is what they have aimed for, and that's what they're going to be doing this year. And this new chapter coincides with FM using a new engine, that being Unity, which is used for the Cities Skylines series, Genshin Impact, and various other games as well. So with Unity, you're looking at better graphics across all devices, not just PC, but across PlayStation, Xbox, mobile as well, touch. So technology-wise, we're looking at a significant improvement. And Miles goes on to talk about animation tech as well, which is something that we've definitely seen improve over the years, but this will be more so than ever for FM25. And then we move on to women's football, which again has been something that has been introduced for a few years, but hasn't been able to come to fruition until now. So FM25 will finally see the arrival of women's football into Football Manager. Fast forward to around the same time this year, 27th of June, we get another development update from Miles on Football Manager 25. And again, they talk about it being a new era for Sports Interactive and the move to Unity. And we do get our first look here at FM25 in its infancy, I guess, with a look at the new user interface. And then they also say that there's some transparency over a few tough decisions they've had to make affecting some of the ways a minority of managers play the game. They also talk more about women's football, the fact that they have more licenses and hope to get more. So I guess we'll see once FM25 comes out which leagues are licensed. And there's a piece around hindsight, the fact that they're saying, was this the right decision? Going for a new interface along with Unity, have they made the right choices? And as they say in the bill, would they have done it again if they had the opportunity, or would they have done it at all? And are they able to do it to the high standard they want with the time they have with this new era with Unity as well? Have they bitten off more than they can chew? I think is one of the questions that I have. Have they done too much? And they go on to say that there are going to be some things that are not going to be in Football Manager 25. So touchline shouts is the first point that they mention. It's a feature that I used a lot. And it wasn't a great feature, but I used it, encouraging your team and praising when you're winning and berating when you're losing. It was something that I did use. It wasn't the greatest feature, but it's something that I used, and it's not going to be in FM25. So the hope for me is that next year they will do a massive revamp on exactly how shouts work, because you could do a shout and then it doesn't actually happen until the ball goes out of play, as they say in the post. So it's something that for now has been removed from the game, but they might come back better in the future. We then hear about the social media screen, which has been removed. I barely looked at the social feed and it didn't really add anything, so that's fine. I'm not going to cry about that. And then the removal of the data chalkboard as well, but of course we now have the data hub, so that again doesn't get used nearly as much. We then hear about Creator Club. I've never used Creator Club. I know various content creators do like using Creator Club to make their own club and maybe put like their Twitch chat in there or their YouTube subscribers and create a club with people like that. So again, it's something that they don't want to rush into, and we'll be back in FM26 hopefully. Versus is also getting a redesign, but again, it's not going to be ready for FM25. Challenge mode could be making a return in 26 or 27. I did a couple of challenges back in the day. There was a Invincibles one where you had to finish your season unbeaten, and there was like a Saviour one where you were bottom of the table, you had to get your way back up. And they were good, but it kind of felt like classic Football Manager, so it wasn't the full game. It was very watered down. So it'd be nice to see that come back in, you know, again, nice to see that come back and looking a lot better. Fantasy Draft is going to be coming later on in the game cycle, it seems. They have done this before. Versus mode on, I think it was FM23, wasn't actually made available until, I think it was after the winter update. So that was something that they didn't introduce until, again, later in the game cycle. And it looks like Fantasy Draft is going that way as well. Then there's talk about the new user interface and an introduction to tiles and cards. So tiles are panels of information with multiple different states, from small amounts of information to larger cards which contain more material. So the tiles are just a snapshot of information, which might give you, some very basic stats. Cards will give you a bit more detail. So you can see some basic stats. This player got 6 goals and 2 assists in 5 games. You can see the results as well. You can see match ratings, and you can see, again, how they did. But then you can break it down a little bit more, and you can see when the goals were scored, the ratings, and this player, it's a forward, I'm guessing, got a goal and 2 assists there. So it looks like there's more information on the screen from what we're seeing here, and you can get more information on the screen. There's so many custom skins where you can get a bag more information than FM would show you on its default skin. We then move on to the portal. So this is effectively your new inbox. So they've kind of revamped how you receive your messages. So rather than the list of messages you had in your inbox around, a player's form or transfer offers or upcoming fixtures, now we have a portal. So you almost have like a schedule for your day. You have a calendar in terms of, this manager at Brentford, you've got a press conference in an hour, you've got to confirm your match squad, you've got to attend your match. And then you've got some instant messages, so kind of like a WhatsApp, I guess, with your owner. And, you can be in contact with them. I wonder if that goes the same for players as well. Could you WhatsApp your players? It's not going to be the same as them coming into your office and saying they want to move out to your club. I say there's more information on the screen. This doesn't look like there's a lot of information on the screen. This is the main portal. And there's not a lot to see, really. There really isn't a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of empty spaces. But this does give you a lot. So this is in between your match highlights. Now, this is 2D Classic, so I wonder if 3D will look different. But yeah, that's interesting to see as well. They then said at the end that FM25's release date will be confirmed in early September. It was confirmed on the 30th of September, so the very last day in September. So that was the update that was published in June. We then move on to the 4th of September, my birthday, and we get another development update from Miles. So this is not quite 3 months removed from the last update in June, and they've reviewed some of the things that were talked about in that June update. So we start with revising our timelines, and it goes on to say that, yes, they did say that they would be announcing FM25 at the start of September, and they had to shift it to the end of September. So they did tell us that, and we got it literally on the very last day of September. And they've also said that their target launch date has moved from early November, which is usually when you'll get FM coming out, to late November. So usually it would be sort of the first week, maybe the second week in November, and then you get your pre-release beta, or your early access 2 weeks before. Now it looks like it's going to be late November with early access again, hopefully 2 weeks before, if we get a beta, because that there's a possibility we won't get a beta. And again, they go over those 3 questions that they mentioned before. Would they do it again if they had time? Would they have done it at all? And do they have the time to do this as well as they can during this time? And then Miles says that they made another difficult decision to remove something from the game, and that being international management. Now, this caused a lot of hurrah from a lot of people that I don't think have ever played international management, myself included. I've never really done an international save. I think I might have dabbled once or twice, but I've never done a full save with a national team. It's something that has needed looking at for a long, long time. And I thought that, you know, after the Qatar World Cup, they were going to do it. I thought maybe during the Euros, they were going to do it. And they still haven't done it. But Miles says that international management will return in a much more feature-rich way to FM26, console and touch, with the World Cup expanding to 48 teams and being held in the USA, Mexico and Canada. Miles then talks about a lot of sacrifices that he's personally made in terms of he's cancelled a trip to America and a trip to Japan, and he's not making a speech in Barcelona, which is a bit of an interesting turn. And then we got a bit more info about women's football and the fact that a player's weight will no longer be visible. I don't think I would have realised that unless someone told me, so that doesn't really bother me at all. Weight doesn't really serve a purpose in terms of your player apart from its physical appearance in the match engine. It doesn't really affect the talent. It doesn't really affect how the player plays. You've got things like strength for that, so that doesn't bother me at all. And then we go on to the announcement from the 30th of Football Manager 25 launching from 26th of November. So this was the official announcement, including a video which didn't really show us too much. And this is where they tell us, you know, some stuff about the game. So in terms of technicals and visuals, it's a massive gap. We know that. It's a huge step using Unity. You've got the introduction of women's football. And it does say further significant new upgrades waiting for you to discover in every career. We don't know what those are really, but they did give us a roadmap. But one of the biggest things that I'm noticing is missing. It talks about pre-order, but nothing about an early access beta. So I'm wondering if we get one. If there is a beta, is it going to be a closed beta? So that was the official announcement for FM25, and that's it. That's pretty much all you get. Women's football, user interface, Unity, further significant upgrades. That's it. Nothing about how the game looks. That's it. There is a roadmap which tells you what else can be expected. So the women's football feature will unlock the week of the 7th of October. We know that women's football is coming. What else are they going to tell us? We might have a bit of knowledge about which leagues are going to be licensed, but, you know, they're going to have to show us the user interface. Apparently they're doing that to be announced, which, from understanding that Miles has said, is the interface date will be released once the women's football feature has been announced. So it's strange the way they're doing it. I don't really understand it. So I don't know what they're going to tell us about women's football that we don't already know. Then we move on to interface where, you know, finally they're going to show us what the game looks like because we don't know that yet. And then there's some stuff about tactics. So there's been some bits shared around new player positions and positions in and out of possession. So there's things like there are playmaking wing backs, I think I've seen, for players like Trent Alexander-Arnold. But then there are more defensive roles that players can have when you're not in possession. So I'll be interested to see what that looks like. That does sound quite interesting, but are we getting to the point where there are too many player roles? That was my worry there. The match experience, we're not going to get for a little while, it seems. That's going to be finally seeing what the match engine looks like because that's what everyone wants to see. And then there's some stuff around Duel Manager, and then some focus on mobiles, and then a deeper dive, which is where they, I think they do the more quality of life improvements and some of the much smaller details is when you get the deeper dive bits and pieces, and then some recaps on touch and on console. So we don't know a lot about FM25, and from what I do know, I'm wondering if it's going to be worth it, to be perfectly honest. Apart from, you know, women's football and the new user interface and Unity, they're telling us more about what's not going to be in it than what is. And that doesn't sit right with me. And they did mention in a previous post that, you know, they want to make sure they got this right in terms of they want to bring in new players, but they don't want to alienate the current audience. And that's what they're in danger of doing, I think. I think they're in danger of really harming the interest of players that have played FM for a number of years, like myself. I have had every Football Manager since FM 07, apart from maybe 2 or 3. I have owned every copy since FM 2011. And this might be the first time since 2011, over a decade, that I haven't bought the game. I might buy it later down the line. I might get it when it's on sale. But at this point in time, I really don't think I'm going to be getting this game full price. And when I talk about things that are not going to be in the game, yes, I know that I've not really used international management before, but they're introducing women's football. And for me, one of the first things I want to do with the women's football is manage the England women's team, because that's what put women's football for me on the map, especially in the United Kingdom. The women's England team is what put women's football on the map, and you can't manage as them. And this might be a bit ignorant of me, but I would honestly struggle to name 10 women's footballers outside of England. I could probably name a handful. I think I would struggle to name 10. And that probably says more about me than it does women's football. It probably says more about my ignorance. But if I was, looking at the women's football game in FM25, one of the first things I would manage is the England team, and I'm not going to be able to do that. And I mentioned some of the other stuff that they're not including, like shouts. Yes, shouts was something that I used. I never really did the multiplayer side, so versus and fantasy draft. Okay, I'm not thrilled that they're not going to be in it, but I'm not especially bothered either. But I just wonder if it's worth my money to pay full price, because, like I said, we're hearing a lot more about what's not going to be in the game than what is, and we know very little about it. It might change in the next few weeks. We might find some amazing details coming through the features. But at this point in time, I don't see myself getting FM25, because it feels like it's going to be a bit more watered down, and it's almost going to be like a precursor to FM26, which hopefully will be significantly better. It's a huge undertaking that they've done. Like, I understand it, but my concern is with women's football, with Unity, I feel like they might have bitten off a bit more than they can chew. And I really hope that they can get it right. I hope they do get it right, because I've played this game, like I said, for over 1,000 hours most years for a number of years. And it's what got me into making YouTube videos. Like, I still make YouTube videos, but I just don't make FM videos anymore. And that's the other thing as well, is not playing Football Manager has given me some opportunities to play games that I probably wouldn't have played. I'm still playing games on the channel. I've been playing the Tomb Raider trilogy. I'm playing Control. I was playing Astrobot in my own time, and I fucking enjoyed that game. It was so much fun. I probably wouldn't have the time to play that game if I was making Football Manager videos. So yeah, at this point in time, I don't know that I'm going to be getting FM25, at least not at full price, but they will have to do a lot in the next few weeks to convince me. That was it. It was a little bit of a ramble, but that's kind of my thoughts summed up. We had a look at, the development updates that Miles has posted over the past year and a bit. And yeah, we're seeing a lot more about what's not going to be in FM25 than what is, apart from the improvements with the Unity engine, which I know is a huge change, but have they done too much? That's it for today's video. I haven't really done an update video in a little while. Let me know what your thoughts are on FM25. Are you looking forward to it? Are you in the same boat as me? Is that you don't really know where you sit with it, and you might need to hear a bit more from them about FM25? Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are as well. Comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, leave comments, subscribe if you haven't, or if you're new. If you haven't been watching, if this is the first FM video you watched of mine since January, then welcome back. And if you want to see something a bit different from me, then I do play other games here as well. We recently played the Tomb Raider Remastered trilogy. I'm currently playing Control, and I'm currently setting up a poll for a horror game that I'm going to be playing once I've finished Control. So stay tuned for some horror gaming coming up, I guess, later this month once I've finished Control. So yeah, if you are new, then do check out some more videos, and I might come back to FM later on at some point. At the moment, I don't really see it happening, but there's still plenty of stuff here you can find to watch if you've just clicked on this video. So have a look around, you might find something you enjoy. I've talked for long enough. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you soon. Goodbye.